Mike Licio from Solo Mode Games. First of all, I want to make apologies for my voice in this playthrough. I've just been back from 2 conventions and I'm running a little bit haggard with my voice, but we got through it. Certain games sound like they just shouldn't work. A solo deduction game is one of those games that shouldn't work. How can you have a hidden movement deduction game in a solitaire game? It did not sound possible to me just in theoretical terms, but then I saw Black Sonata. And the more I read about it, the more intrigued I was about how this game would actually pull off a hidden movement deduction game for a solitaire experience. How did it do? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's head on over to the table and take a look. Okay, here we have most of the setup for Black Sonata. There is a couple of things to just kind of point out to you that I've done. First of all, before I get started, I do want to say that I am playing with pre-production components, so things may look a little bit different in the final version, and honestly, from what I've heard, there may be some rules changes that have been implemented or will be implemented to kind of make sure that the replayability is as high as can be. But generally speaking, I think you're going to get a pretty good idea of how the game is played, even with the rules as they are written. So right now, what I've done so far to kind of begin the setup is I've shuffled the fog cards. So right here, we've got what are called fog cards. These are location cards, and it says that you can just stack them, and actually some of them are off camera, which is fine. I just go ahead and spread them out because that way when I need to grab a location card, I don't feel like I need to kind of search through a whole stack. I just kind of have them there, and then once I bring them into my tableau, I just kind of shift them in front of me. Here I've got my deduction tokens. I've got some little planning tokens which you can optionally use, and I will absolutely use them because I am really pretty terrible at this game. I have not won yet, but that's okay. Maybe it'll happen today on camera. I've got the Dark Lady, which this is who I'm trying to find out the identity of. And so I basically just shuffled the Dark Lady cards, and I made sure that the top symbol did not have a purple sage symbol, which this one was a rose. And so I placed that underneath. I have no idea who's on the other side. That's what my goal is, to figure that out. And then I shuffled the rest of these, which are now clue cards, until I got the same symbol on the top. So I've got a rose symbol here and a rose symbol here, okay? This right here is my stealth deck, okay? And so the way this works is that this is really unique. You pick, there are a number of different series of letters across the top and the bottom. All right, let me see if I can get this here in focus. And so you choose one of the letters or one of the areas, okay? And for me, I just happen to choose this second on the top, okay? Second from the left. And so you'll see this has a Z here. And the way it works is that you're going to put it in alphabetical order. So you have Z, Y, X, W, V, all the way back to A. Okay, it is important you make sure that you've got those all in correct alphabetical order, or I imagine it would not work correctly. But once you've done that, you're okay, and you can pick any one of those spaces there, and you can also go in reverse order. And apparently in the rule book, they have some that will give you more challenging. I just basically picked a regular one. And so now what you have to do to finish this setup is you're going to cut the deck, all right? And then you're going to place this countdown card underneath it. All right, there's a 2 and a 1, and then if it comes through that again, you've lost. So I just randomly cut the deck. Oops. And I put this on top of this, and I place this countdown card underneath my stealth deck, and I'm going to be holding the deck like this. So because a lot of times you don't want to see the card that's underneath, because that can kind of give you a bit of a hint or a clue that you should not necessarily have. All right, and so I started in St. Paul's. You can start in any area of the map you like. Each one of the locations is going to have one or more symbols on them that correspond to symbols on the stealth deck. All right, so I started in St. Paul's, and now we know that the Dark Lady is starting in a house location, All right, so she could be there, she could be there, she could be there, she could be there. All right, and on your turn, you're going to either choose one action. Well, first thing you're going to do is update the Dark Lady's location. Then you're going to choose one action or pass. The actions you can do is you can move your pawn to an adjacent adjoining location. So on my next action, I can move to Cripplegate, I can move to Cornbill, I can move to Blackfriars. All right. You can search for the Dark Lady. And I'll show you how you do that. If you feel like you are on the same location as the Dark Lady, you can search for her, and that's going to be how you get more clues, potentially, if you were correct in finding her. All right. You can also use a fog card if it's the top card of your stealth deck. All right. To win, you're going to have to use deduction, using these symbols to kind of put the correct symbols that you believe are on the Dark Lady's card based upon clues you'll get from the clue deck. And I am so terrifically bad at this that although I'm going to show you the general idea of it, it's very likely that I'm going to pause the camera while I sit here and bang my head against the wall trying to figure out these different clues. So let's just go ahead and get started. So first thing we do is update the Dark Lady's location. So to do that, you take the top card and you move it to the bottom of the deck. So she's now at a location with a tree. All right, so now looking at the board, she was in a house location and now she's at a location with a tree. So that can narrow down the possibilities. So house to a tree, she could be in Shoreditch. House to a tree, she could be in Clerkenwell, and that works as well because house here, tree there. House here, no tree to either side. So right now I know she's either in Clerkenwell or in Shoreditch. All right, so my thought is try to potentially move to an area that she's going to go next. So if she's in Clerkenwell, she's going, because I'm playing it on an easy mode, which means that she's going to move every turn. You can play a particular way, choosing one of those paths on the back where she might stay in the same place, and that would make things much more difficult. Because right now, I know with a surety, she's going to be moving to one of three places. There are only three places she can end up on this turn. She can end up in Cripplegate, because she can go from pardon me, if she's in Shoreditch, she can go to Cripplegate. Clerkenwell can go to Cripplegate. She could be in Blackfriars because she can go from there to there, or she could be in Bishopsgate. Those are the three places that she has to be this next turn. So, do I hedge my bets? Do I go back to or do I go here to Cripplegate? Two of the possibilities are right there. Or do I go to Blackfriars, because if I go here and I see a kind of comedy tragedy symbol or boat symbol, I know she has to be there because there are none of those symbols there. My issue is if I go here and I see a house symbol as the next card, well, yeah, I could check for her there. Pardon me, sorry. But she could also be at Bishopsgate or Blackfriars because those both have house symbols. So my inclination is to move to Blackfriars, hope that the next card that shows up here is either a comedy tragedy symbol or a boat symbol, because if that's the case, I know that she's in Blackfriars. Okay? So I've made my movement, all right? And so now that was mine, and now we're going to update her location. Well, she's in a boat. Okay. So I know definitively now that she's in Clerkenwell. All right? I know she's in Clerkenwell. Or excuse me, I know she's in Blackfriars, all right? Because there was no other area from a tree that had that boat symbol. So I guessed lucky, you know, I guessed what I'm pretty sure is correctly. We're going to find out. Okay, so now we updated the Dark Lady's location, and now I'm going to search for the Dark Lady. And to do that, you slide a fog card right here underneath without looking. Underneath, you slide a fog card underneath the top card of the stealth deck. Oh, actually, first thing I should have done, I started in St. Paul's. When you go to Blackfriars, when you go to any location, you take that location card and you put it in front of you. Once you've visited all the locations, if you visit all the locations, you're going to get a free clue from the clue deck. Okay? So, I've gone to Blackfriars. I believe that the Dark Lady is currently in Blackfriars. Okay? And so now what I'm going to do is search for the Dark Lady. All right, so I slid the fox card underneath. I put the stealth card on the location key. All right, so I'm going to set this down for a moment. I take this stealth card and I put it on top of Blackfriars, and all of these location cards have holes punched out in particular places. And so what I'm hoping is that when I turn this over, through that hole, I'm going to see a dark silhouette. And I did. You can see the dark silhouette of the Dark Lady right there. So I found her. That's great. And so what's going to happen is that now this gets discarded. Okay, this stealth clue gets discarded. And I'm going to be able to get a clue. If I had not, pardon me, so sorry. If I had not correctly found her, I would still discard that and will not be able to get a clue. All right? So, since I did find her, all right, I am going to reveal the top card of the clue deck. So now, I look at this card. And this is going to potentially give me some information. Penelope Rich here has 3 symbols on the left. A heart, well, these all have particular, they all mean something, so I feel like I should look this up. Okay, yes. So, this is the game telling me this. This isn't my opinion. That heart means that she's promiscuous, all right? She has children, which I suppose the two could go hand in hand, but I'm not going to really go there. And the crown means that she has court connections, all right? And so what I need to be looking for is over here and seeing what connections her symbols have to the Dark Lady. Well, the Dark Lady is a rose symbol. So one of these symbols are in common with the Dark Lady. The Dark Lady has only one of these 3 symbols, all right? If it had said this, 0 or 2, it would mean that either she had none of these symbols or 2 of them. So you have 1, 0, 2, or 2. So I know that the Dark Lady has one of these symbols on her card. Not enough information to go on right now, obviously, but it's the beginning. So I take that clue card and I place it over here next to the Dark Lady card, and I now am going to be able to move on to my next turn and see if I can get more information. Okay, but before I can actually move to my next turn, what I really have to do to finish this turn, I got my clue, is you are going to advance the stealth deck by 1 card for each clue card that you have, including the new one. So I do now have 1 clue card, and so I'm just going to advance this by 1. Okay? Now it's the beginning of a new turn. So she is basically going to be moving 2. All right, so we update her location. She's now from a cross to a money spot. Okay, so it's likely, matter of fact, I think has to be that she's in Cornhill. All right, she went from here to actually we've got the key here. She went from a church to a commercial area. All right, so she should be in Cornhill. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'd love to go here to St. Paul's, but I think she could move back. It's very possible, but I'd like to go to these other locations because I would like to get more of these location cards and maybe get a free clue. And she could end up moving this way. There's any number of things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move up to Clerkenwell. I'm going to take the Clerkenwell card and put it in front of me. And now the Dark Lady is going to advance. And now she goes to a church. So that means she can either be here or she could be back in St. Paul's. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and move to Cripplegate. It's where I started, but now I'm actually visiting it, so I take the location card. All right, let's see where she goes. She's in a playhouse, which from here means that she's in Blackfriars. There's no two ways about that. So now I'm going to try to pop up to Clerkenwell and hope that I get a well, actually, either one of those symbols, well, actually, I'm hoping for a tree, because if there's a church symbol and a tree is rural. If I get a church symbol, she could have gone back to St. Paul. So I'm going to move to Clerkenwell, all right, and hope for a rural symbol here. And I got one. That's awesome. Okay, so that means that she's in Clerkenwell, and I cut her off at the pass again. And so now I'm going to search for the Dark Lady again. I'm going to take a fog card, okay? I'm going to carefully place it underneath that card without revealing the location underneath. All right. I'm going to take the Clerkenwell card. This is going to be placed on top of the Clerkenwell card. And if my deductions were correct, I'm going to flip this over and see a silhouette on the opposite side, and I did. There it is, the Dark Lady. So I'm going to get another clue. This gets discarded. So now I flip over the next card in the clue deck, and what do I see? I see Mary Fitton here. All right, Mary has court connections. All right, she also has children, and she is musical. All right. And two of these symbols are the same as the Dark Lady. All right, so I can look now at Penelope Rich and Mary Fritton here, and two of these are the same as the Dark Lady. Penelope only has one. So one of these two is definitely part of the Dark Lady's profile. All right. But I don't know which. I don't know which yet. It could be court connections, but this means likely, if I'm doing my deduction correctly, and this is where I'm so terribly awful at this game, this means likely that I should be able to know for sure that she's musical. Because if only one of these two is associated with the Dark Lady and two of these are, that would mean that this has to be one of them. The other should be that. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just, for the time being, put down a musical notation right here in my deduction spot. Okay? Now, that may not be correct deduction, and there may be people on the other end who are laughing at me, but that's why I'm not terribly good at this game. But that logic seemed to make sense to me right there, and we'll see if I'm correct or not. But so be it. So I'm going to go with that for now. All right. And so now I have two clue cards. And so now as a group, I have to be very careful not to reveal things. I take the two cards, since I now have two correct clues, and I place those at the bottom. And so now she's somewhere on a house. Could be there, could be there, could be there, could be there. And you see, as you get more clues, she gets more movement. She gets to kind of run away from you, and you have less of an idea of where she is. So let's go ahead and update the Dark Lady's location. She's now at a tavern. So from a house to a tavern, well, that actually was wonderful. That helped me out quite a bit, because there's only two places that she can be. She can be in Eastcheap, or she can be in Southwark, or I don't know if it's pronounced Southwick. I'm not terribly good at those British pronunciations, so to speak. So, Eastcheap or Southwark, all right? I've been to both of these locations, which is a bit of a bummer because I want to kind of go to new places. So, I'm going to just take a choice, and I'm going to go towards the north here. I'm going to go to Cripplegate, okay? Can't take a card because I've already been there. Let's update the location at a commercial area. So, that means that she could be here in Cornhill. Could be here in London Bridge. All right. And so I think what I'm going to do I want to take a risk that she's in St. Paul's? I think I'm going to go up to Shoreditch and hope that she's actually going to come back this way. All right. So I could have gone there to St. Paul's and hoped that she'd come there, but I wouldn't know with a surety because there's a church in both of those locations. So I'll go ahead and go to Shoreditch so that I can take that location card and start continuing to build up my locations for clues, potentially. And let's update the Dark Lady's location. She's at a church, so I'm actually glad that I didn't go back to St. Paul's, because she can be in 3 different places now. She can be in St. Paul's, she could be in Bishopsgate, and she could be in Southwark. Okay, now, at this point, if I wanted to, I could just pass, hope that she comes to me, so that I can then search for her again. And this isn't a bad place to do so, because if a rural symbol were to come up, I would know with a surety that she is there. There's no other rural spots connected to any of the other locations. I'll go ahead and take that risk. It really is it's a kind of a shot in the dark. If the next I'm going to pass, and so if the next location comes up as rural, I know that I can search in Shoreditch and I'll be correct. So let's see what happens. It's a risk. And it was, it was okay. It's okay. I was wrong. So she is either in London Bridge or in Cornhill. All right. So now what I'm going to do is jump down to Bishopsgate because I'll be able to get that location card and then maybe she'll come back. So I go to Bishopsgate, I take that location card. All right. And let's see where the Dark Lady goes. Going to a tavern. All right. Well, that means she could be in Southwark, could be in Eastcheap. All right. Do I pass again? If I pass, the only way I'd know for sure is if a church came up, because if a residence comes up, or yeah, if Shakespeare's residence come up, she could be there in Library of the Clink or in Bishopsgate. This is a risk. Again, do I wait? Okay, I am going to pass again. Hope that a church symbol comes up, because if it does, I'll know she's in Bishopsgate. I wouldn't be passing as much if I wasn't in a situation where I knew with some assurity that I could get these searching actions. Okay, so let's do this. And I lucked out. Okay, so I know she's in Bishopsgate. I can go ahead and take a search action now. So I place a fog card underneath carefully. All right, now I will hope that everything I did was correct. Place the location card over that, flip it over, and there we go. So now I'm going to get another clue card. Okay, I apologize if the camera is shifted a little bit. I had a battery change situation right when I was getting ready to check my next clue. I was getting a battery indicator light, so I went ahead and paused the camera, got it all charged up, and I'm back where I was, where I just successfully found the Dark Lady and at Bishopsgate. And so now I'm going to discard that stealth card and I'm going to reveal my next clue here, my third clue. And so now I'm going to be looking at this card and comparing it with my, with my other cards and seeing if I can make some more deductions. So this one is interesting in that it says with the Rose, which is the card that I'm focusing on, either 0 or 2 of these are correct. And I'm going with the assumption, and it may be incorrect at this point, that musicality is correct. And so I'm going to now be able to assume that one of these other 2 are correct. I'm looking at my other cards over here off to the side, and I don't see... It says one of these are also correct. You've got the promiscuity, the children, and the connections with the court. None of those tie in with this. You've got connections with the court. You've got has children and musicality. And it says that 2 of these are correct. So I'm wondering... I'm trying to see, it could either be court or children being correct here. So I think court or children is going to be one of them, and then the other one is going to be either the literary or creative or the married. Okay, so I think I'm looking at, I need at least one more to try to narrow this down, at least. And potentially more than that. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I have successfully found the Dark Lady, and I'm going to advance the stealth deck by 1 card for each clue that I have. And now I've got 3, so I've got to carefully 1, 2, and 3 advance those together. And now she's somewhere on a house, so it could be current location, could be Blackfriars, could be Library of the Clink. Could be Cripplegate. Oh, so many places the Dark Lady could be, and now we're going to update her location. She's at a tavern. So she could be there in East Cheap, could be in Southwark, and I think those are my two options at this point. East Cheap or Southwark. So I could go to Cornhill, and then if a commerce comes up, a commercial area, then I'm potentially able to search again, but also London Bridge would be a possibility there. So I think what I'm going to do is move to East Cheap so that I can get that location into my tableau here. And now I'm down to 5 locations to go to get a free clue. All right. I'm going to update Dark Lady's location. Now she's in one of Shakespeare's residences. So could be Library of the Clink. Could be at Bishop's Gate. All right, I think those are my two options. All right, I am going to go to London Bridge. Go ahead and take that location. Going to update the Dark Lady's location now in a commercial area. So if I haven't messed anything up, I know she's in Cornhill. So I think what I might do is move to East Cheap and hope that a tavern comes up next, because that would mean I definitely have found her. So I'll move to East Cheap, hope that my next stealth card here is a tavern. It is not. I did not luck out. So she could be in Bishop's Gate. She could be in Cripplegate. All right. I have not been to Cornhill, so I think I'll go there. Getting ever closer to getting all of those locations. All right. Update the location of the Dark Lady. Okay. Could be, she's at a playhouse, so I believe, again, if I haven't messed up somewhere, she has to be at Shoreditch. All right, so, got a couple of options here. She's either going to Bishopsgate or she's going to Cripplegate. I think what I'm going to do is go to Bishopsgate, because then if a church comes up, I know it's her. If a resident comes up, if Shakespeare's residence comes up, it could be either or. So I'll go to Bishopsgate, hope that I get a church location here next, and it's not. Okay, so she could be here, she could be in Cripplegate. So now I've got a chance, a risk. I believe this is the first time in this playthrough that I could look, and I may be wrong. I think every other time I've looked, I've felt positive that she was there. Oh, do I take this risk? It's a 50-50 shot. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to have to move her way forward, because I'll be moving her 3 spots ahead and burning through this deck, which, you know, is not good, because if you go through the deck twice, you've lost without successfully deducing who the Dark Lady is. Oh boy. Okay, so where are the areas I need to go? I've not been to St. Paul's yet. I've not been to Southwark, and I've not been to the Library of the Clink. All right, I'm gonna, you know, this is probably very, very unwise. I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna look here in Bishopsgate, so I'll go ahead and put that fog card underneath, take my location or my stealth, and check on Bishopsgate, and hope that my 50-50 shot paid off. It did not. I had a feeling. So there's no silhouette there, so this gets discarded. Now I'm going to have to advance the deck 3 spaces, 1, 2, and there is my there's the timer card, so I've got to flip that over. Let me double check and see if I have to put that at the bottom, or if it stays. Oh, actually, it's going to get turned, but it's not going to be counted towards, I believe. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, I don't count that as one of the 3 cards. Now she's in a rural location. Don't know where. Could be in Shoreditch, could be in Clerkenwell. Oh, those are my only 2 rural locations, so that's not too bad. Alright, well, it didn't pay off. And now I've got to be really careful to be very efficient with my moves. So we're going to advance the Dark Lady. Oh, she's... who knows? Don't know where she is. Okay, now, it's my turn. And what I can do is I can move. And this is the first time that I can use a fog card. If I wanted to do this, I would take a new fog card, slide it underneath this one, and then carry out the stated action. It could be good, it could be nothing, it could even, I think, even potentially be bad. Let's give it a shot just so you can see what happens on some of these fog cards. I don't know if I would do this if I wasn't filming, but I might. Okay, so I slide a new fog card underneath. I'm going to flip this card over, and we're going to see what happens. It says discard this card. So, yeah, not great. Didn't get any bonus, so I discard it. And now we're going to update the Dark Lady's location. Alright, because I used that. So, she's in a church. So, could be in Bishopsgate, could be in Clerkenwell, could be in St. Paul's, could be in Southwark. Alright. Well, I think what I need to do is start going towards places I have not been. So I will go to Cornhill, update the location. Okay, well, commercial area, so could be in where I'm at, could be in Cornhill, could be in London Bridge though. So here, I got another 50-50 shot. Do I take that risk? I don't think I do. I think instead what I'm going to do is go to St. Paul's to get that location card. I'm being a little more conservative now that I'm a little worried about burning through this deck. Alright, let's see where the Dark Lady is. She's at a church, so she's either at Bishopsgate or at Southwark. Alright. Now I'm going to go to Blackfriars because I want to come down here and get those last 2 cards so that I can get a free clue, and hopefully if I can do that and then find her successfully again, I can make a confront the Dark Lady and see if I can successfully complete this game. Alright, she is at a playhouse, which means she's either at Shoreditch or at the Liberty of the Clink. Now I could pass and hope she comes here, but I honestly think my better bet at this point is to just go to these last 2 locations, get my last clue, and hope that I can do it with 4 clues. Alright, so I will move to Liberty of the Clink, take that location card ahead of me. The Dark Lady is somewhere. We don't know. So now my last thing is I'm going to go to Southwark. I'm going to get that location, and that is now the last location that I've visited all the locations. Alright. If all locations have been visited, as a one-time action, you can reveal 1 clue card. You only get this bonus once. So here we go. I'm hoping that now, with 4 clue cards, I'm going to be able to deduce the 3 characteristics of the Dark Lady. Then I have to successfully find her, confront her, and hope for the best. So, here's what I've got. I've got Jacqueline Field, alright. She has got musicality. She has got married. And she has got children, alright. And she has 1 of these in common with the Dark Lady. I'm going to pause the camera, do some painful deducing, and come back and see what I've got. Okay, so here's what I come up with. Based on my deductions, such as they are, I believe the Dark Lady is musical, has court connections, and is literary or creative. Looking at these cards, says that she has 1 in common with the Dark Lady, and so in this case, that 1 thing in common would be the court connections. That would mean that not married, not promiscuous, okay? This has 2 things in common. In this case, that would be the court connections and the musicality. That fits. This has only one thing in common, which in this case would be the musicality, not married, no children. And this one is a 0 or 2. This last clue card I got was a 0 or 2, which was helpful if I'm doing this correctly, because it means that she would have that musicality, which we already know. So you can take away the 0 because we had already locked in she was musical. And in this case, that would mean that if we determine that she's not married, that she would therefore have to be creative. So again, I don't know if my deductions are correct, but this is what I'm going with. And hopefully I get a chance to find out if I'm correct, because now we're going to see if we can find her. We have to successfully find her, find the silhouette behind the correct card. Then I can confront the Dark Lady, flip this card over, and if those 3 are there, then I have won. Otherwise, we'll see. Okay, so we're going to advance, update the Dark Lady's location. She's in one of Shakespeare's residences, so Bishopsgate, Liberty of the Clink, Blackfriars, or Cripplegate. All right. I think what I will do is move towards this area of the map. I'll move to London Bridge. She's in another residence. Okay, so residence to residence can be only Liberty of the Clink, I believe. I don't think there's any other place where a residence can go directly to another residence. Okay. So she's at Liberty of the Clink. So I'm going to come back to Southwark. If a tavern comes up, then I know that she's there and I can confront her. So I'm hoping against hope for a tavern here. And I got it. All right, this is exciting. Let's find out. Southwark. We're going to take a fog card, carefully place it underneath that tavern location. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take the Southwark card. If the Dark Lady silhouette shows up here, I have successfully found her and I will confront her. Yes! There is the silhouette. And so now I can find out, it's all on this flip. If the Dark Lady is musical, has court connections, and is literary or creative, we have successfully won the game. Here we go. Did I do it? Look at that. I did it. Amelia Lanier. She's musical. She's got court connections. She is literary or creative. So I think the trick is every time I play this game, I need to record it, because this is the first time that I have won. Very exciting. I'm glad all of you were here to witness this. Hopefully I didn't make any huge rules mistakes in my favor. Hopefully if I did mess anything up, it made things harder for me, but I'm going to count this as a win until I hear otherwise. So regardless, hopefully you got a pretty good idea of how the game is played. A one-player only deduction game doesn't sound like something that should work, but I think you can see here it absolutely does work. Very clever things going on. And I'm excited to keep playing it, especially now that I've won and I know that it's possible. So as always, everybody, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for watching and have a great day.